You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good Wednesday morning, everybody. I am Glenn the Geek in Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Jamie Jennings in Norman, Oklahoma. You're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Wednesday, March 20th, episode 3390.
Ah, Wednesday, the day we cover Glenn's favorite topic, horse health. And Jamie makes you feel better about yourself with the latest weird news from around the world. Happy Wednesday.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Dr. Kristi is joining us today again to talk about what vaccinations should be done in the springtime. Yes, we're thinking springtime.
Oh my God, it's that time almost.
When I saw that, I asked Jennifer, what do we need to do? And she said, well, I got them all planned for April. So basically, don't ask, and I'm not going to tell you. That's what I got out of that.
Pretty much.
Not my problem. So trailer 101, the last in the series that we're doing, that has gone over pretty well. We're going to be doing the last one today, and that's what to look for when you're shopping for a new or used horse trailer. Any weird news?
Oh my God, I got 2 weeks worth. So yeah.
And then in the post show, we're going to do a Would You Rather equestrian version. So that's coming up in today's post show as well. Hey, I have some news out of the Red Wings Horse Sanctuary in Wales. Its oldest resident, Willow, had been with them for more than 20 years, and that the pony died on Friday. Willow was a pony that was taken by the RSPCA in a prosecution case, and as I said, 20 years ago, found living in the common land in Wales, which means basically they've been turned out and not taken care of at all, and lived, get this is the reason this made news, lived to the age of 46. There.
Wow.
So a rescue pony living to the age of 46. And I got to tell you, this charity does good things, the Red Wings Horse Sanctuary. It's been around for 40 years and has rescued more than 5,500 horses, ponies, and donkeys. So this is a remarkable charity and a pony that lived a good long time. I made me look up. Old Billy is still listed as the oldest horse that ever lived. That was one out of England from the 1760s.
Yeah, well, exactly. 1760 is when he died. So basically, they started keeping records. And
he was foaled in 1760 and lived for 62 years, died in 1822.
62 years old.
Now,
That's a horse.
I don't know that Guinness was around to verify the records back then like they do now, so I don't know about that. But the oldest recorded thoroughbred racehorse was Tango Duke, foaled in 1935 and owned by Carmen Copper of Victoria, Australia, and the chestnut gelding lived to 42 years old and passed away in 1978.
I can buy that one because they keep records on it.
Yes.
But a old horse, Old Billy...
I don't know how it got into the Guinness. Guinness seems to want to verify everything, and I don't know how they would have verified that in 1822. I'm not sure, but that's still it. Old Billy's still in there.
I'm sure Billy had top-notch equestrian veterinary care in the 1700s. They were really on top of deworming and dental care.
Yes, I'm sure old Billy was. What did his teeth look like at the age of 62?
What teeth? Okay. There are no teeth.
Maybe that was the trick. He was gumming his food, and that's why he lived so long. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you what it says.
I'm going to go with it.
In the book.
Sure.
That's what's in the book. Now, we did have a pony. My pony actually lived to about 40. And then we had another pony that lived to about 40. We're not sure if the pony was over 40, but we're pretty sure it was about 40.
I had a Shetland pony growing up who, same deal, like wouldn't die. He was like in his 40s, same thing. And he was a Shetland pony, but he was also a Pinto. And when we got him, he was super cute. And by the time he died, he was just white. The whole face and head and everything was just white. Bless his heart.
And it's amazing.
Weird.
Those ponies usually don't have very many health problems. Like mine, Piper, was the one I drove Piper till 35. And, you know, there are not many health problems. And then one day they just keel over. Like Piper had a stroke and died. You know, there was no health problems leading up to it. It's just
they're too stubborn to have medical problems or at least tell you about them.
Right, exactly. They just have a heart attack one day and that's it. Those are the good kind of ponies that don't have the vet bills till 40 years old and then they pass away.
I do have a fun vet bill story if you want to hear this.
All right, can we get to it later?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we'll do the vet bill story later. Daily Whinnies. We have 3 auditor birthdays today: Kim Trask, Allison Marie, and Andrea Day. Happy birthday to all of you.
My daily Winnie goes out to Annalise Jobert of South Africa. And I'll tell you why. Remember last week we were talking about, you know, the water rescue and how those crazy women jumped in the water trying to rescue their horses from the flooding. And you asked me if I would ever do that.
Yes.
And I said no, because I'm not the person who jumps in and panic. I just stared. I go, oh my God, look what's happening. And I like, Chad has literally saved Lucas from choking twice. And I sit there and I watch. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, there's something that happens. I shut down.
This is why you're not a paramedic.
I would not be a very good first responder, but we know our strengths, right? Like a horse gets sick, I jump right in, I know what to do. But humans, I don't know. So Annalise gets a huge award from me today because she is married to a man named Anthony. He's 37 years old, and he's a father of 3. And they were fishing at a dam in South Africa. And his line got caught in a tree as he was like reeling in a big bass. And so he's like reeling it in and it's going over this tree and he can't get the fish like over the branch to get it to him. It's shallow water. What could possibly go wrong? He decides to wade out into the water to unsnag the line.
As you would, right?
As you would, because it's a bass. Hello. And turns out there was a crocodile laying in ambush that jumped up and grabbed him and threw him around so much that his entire lower half of his body up to about his belly were in the crocodile, Glenn. In the crocodile. And all these people are trying to help and like coming out and trying to grab him, you know, but as they pull, it's like, yeah, it's not good. He says there was so much adrenaline that he really didn't feel anything. But he says, I honestly thought my legs were going to get ripped off.
Yeah, no kidding. You got people pulling at one end, the alligator, the crocodile pulling at the other.
It's not going to go well. No. So Annalise comes to, like I would not do. I would probably be like, Chad, are you okay? Okay, you should get out. What does she do? She grabs a freaking log and jumps in the water and starts beating the crocodile over the head. She starts smashing it over and over again with, they say, terrific force. And Anthony's employer was there, and they grabbed the victim by the arms as she's bashing it in the head. And eventually, he freaking let go of him. She's amazing.
Is she still alive? Incredible. Did they go after her?
Everybody's fine.
Okay.
He went. I mean, granted, he's like gonna.
Yeah, he's not fine.
He's not fine.
He's alive.
Like, he's gonna be in the hospital. They say for at least 3 months with all of his injuries. Ugh. And they've started a GoFundMe. I feel like I should donate because she's so cool. Way to go, Annalise.
That's a tough woman right there.
Don't you take my daddy. Don't you take my baby daddy. Give it back over here.
Were they married or just boyfriend, girlfriend?
Married, father. We were married with 3 kids. She is, by the way, South African women are big, tough women. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of her. She's, yeah.
Poor
and
Chad would have just been lunch.
baby, I miss you already. Bye. And you're going to notice that I'm going to pepper the weird news stories throughout the show. And I tell you that because I have 2 weeks worth, and this was probably the best 2 weeks of weird news that has ever been sent to me.
Okay. All right.
And I had to throw this in. I won't have time at the end, but we're going to have a theme at the end of weird news.
Okay.
Would you like to ask me what that theme is?
What's the theme? It's Florida? No.
Testicles. We're going to go with testicles. So you may want to get an ice pack pre-ready because we're going to talk about testicles.
So basically, it's America's Funniest Home Videos today. Which...
I don't know if it's funny. I'm not going to go with funny.
Hey, okay, vet bill.
Oh, I just wanted you to know that you ever like call the vet and something's so stupid and you're like, I can't believe I just had to pay that vet bill.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all done it. We horse people, we have the vet out and it's like no big deal. Or, you call the vet because your horse is colicking, you give a Banamine. By the time the vet gets there, it's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So this is a cat. I wanted to celebrate the cat owners of the world. The cat is named Loki, and he was his owner Danielle was looking through his petting him and noticed that there was a weird looking scab on its back, and the skin around the scab was all irritated, and there was fur missing, and it was really bad. And so she's like, I don't know what it is. I got to take it to the vet. So she takes the cat to the vet. What do you think was underneath the scab when they opened it?
I don't want to know.
I was reading the story and I was like, this is going to be so gross. So the vet gets out and starts shaves the area, and they're going to go in and figure it out. And it was a red pepper flake stuck to the skin of the cat.
Just a red pepper flake?
Just a red pepper flake.
I was really expecting something grosser than that.
I know. And she said it cost her $200 to find out there was a red pepper flake stuck to his leg. No wonder the skin was irritated. It was burning it. Anyway, I was just like, thank you, Loki, because you made me feel better about myself today, Danielle.
All the stupid vet bills we have.
All the stupid vet bills. And you took your cat to the vet because it had a red pepper flake stuck to its skin.
I was really expecting something gross.
I know, me too. And then I read it and I was like, this is amazing.
That's weird news right there.
That's weird news. But it's not weird news, it's funny news. The rest are really weird.
Well, before we get into our final Trailer 101 segment with Brad from Double D, I wanted to mention that State Line, we've been talking about them being at various shows coming up, and they're going to be. But I also wanted to mention that they do thousands of dollars of prize giveaways each month. Head on over to statelinetack.com. You're going to see a banner right there at the top. And this month's grand prize winner will receive a Kensington Purple Haze fly sheet, neck cover, fly mask, fly boots, halter, bridle bag, and grooming tote of a $575 value. And there are 10 winners each month. So head on over there right now. You can subscribe to make sure you get those announcements about the prizes that are given away. And Kensington's really cool stuff. It's one of my favorite companies, actually, in the horse world. So check that out right now. Go over to statelinetack.com and sign up for the prize giveaways each month. And, of course, you can buy other stuff, too. You can also do that over there.
I would never do that while I'm shopping online. That's why you do the State Line Tack commercials. Because, again, it's the show just continues to cost me money. Go ahead.
And all right, let's go to Brad. I have really enjoyed this series I've done with Brad over at Double D. He's a fascinating guy. And what you guys don't know is we record for 15, 20 minutes these segments. And then I ended up talking to him for an hour each time. He's just a fascinating dude. They've been experimenting with making 3D printing trailers, like the whole trailer.
That's so crazy.
And they've been he's an innovator. He likes doing, new stuff. He's been doing this for 30 years. And today, we thought that for the final segment, we would do buying a new or used horse trailer and what to look for when you're doing that. And what are the red flags, that kind of thing. So let's take a listen to that. And then we're going to be back with our horse health report.
Welcome to our monthly horse trailer series, brought to you by Double D Trailers. Find them online at doubledtrailers.com. That's double, the letter D, untitled-trailers.com.
Well, Glenn here, founder of the Horse Radio Network and host of Horses in the Morning. One of the top requested segments we've gotten from listeners is about trailers and trailer safety. And Brad Heath from Double D Trailers has done an amazing job helping us with a 5-part series on trailers. Brad is the owner of Double D Trailers with over 25 plus years experience in horse trailer manufacturing in the equestrian industry. If you missed the first 4 parts, you can find them at horseradionetwork.com/trailer. We've cut them out there, made them very simple for you to just listen to one right after another. You can go there to do that. And we've gotten some really, really good feedback. Apparently our listeners like you, Brad, so you're approved.
Awesome. Thanks for having us, Glenn. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot.
Well, we've learned a lot, too, from you, and we want to thank you for that. And in this final segment, we're going to talk about what I thought would be the perfect thing to end with, and that's shopping for horse trailers, new versus used. And let's start with used trailers. What are some of the ideal situations for a used horse trailer?
Well, I think for a new horse owner in particular, perhaps you purchased a horse for one of your kids, or you're new to trail riding or showing, you're just an entry level, not sure if you're going to like it, not sure how long you're going to stay in it. I think looking for a well-built, safe, functional, used trailer, there's always budget restrictions, the type of vehicle you're towing with. So quite a bit to consider. But yeah, I would think a new horse owner that's just unsure of how long they're going to stay in it, maybe used would be the way to go.
Or somebody with budget restrictions, they just can't afford a new one right now and they need that horse trailer. But when you go to look for, and I bought a few used horse trailers in my lifetime, so when you go to look for them, what are you looking at? Are there the points that you should absolutely look at and make sure that you check out?
Well, I think used will follow some of the same thought process that we use on new trailers or custom build. For example, really just identifying the need that you have. Are you hauling 1, 2, or 3 horses or even more? We'll have clients who say, how many horses do you need to haul? And they'll say, 2 to 3. And I'm like, well, do you need to haul 2? Or do you need to haul 3? Because you're not going to fit 3 in a 2 horse. Do you plan to sleep at night? If so, do you need a gooseneck? And do you have a pickup truck to tow that with?
And, one of the things that we've learned as far as condition is obviously taking a look at the condition, pull the mats up everywhere. Take a look under the mats, and then also crawl under the trailer. See what you see. Are you seeing any rust anywhere? Providing it's not completely aluminum. But the other thing too is the tires. Are you going to need new tires? Are they dry rotted on the edges? That's usually they'll be dry rotted. We talked about that last episode. They'll be dry rotted before they're ever worn out tread wise. And then does it have valid paperwork and a title? I cannot tell you how many of these horse trailers we talk about on our Really Bad Ad segment where they don't have paperwork.
Yeah, we'll start out with condition. Quick story. I traded for brand whatever back in the early 2000s, sight unseen, other than pictures from the customer. They ordered a new trailer, we built it, delivered it in Georgia, picked up the used, brought it back, and hosed it down, really spit shined it, cleaned it up, and we're just going to take some pictures to put it on our website before it went to the shop for inspection on lighting and things like that. And man, when I pulled the mats back, my heart sank because I could see the ground, and it was an aluminum floor. The trailer was only about 7 years old. And I wouldn't have thought that, it had oxidized and it literally just rusted out. So obviously the customer had never pulled the mats out, and they probably didn't even have a clue that it looked like that. So those are things that when purchasing a used trailer, if it's coming from a dealership, that would be my recommendation, especially if this is your first trailer, because at least the dealer can sort of give a warranty with it, say, hey, we've inspected the bearings. The date codes on the tires look good. You do or you do not need new tires. We've checked all the lighting, the breakaway system. We've crawled under it and made sure that none of the welds were broken. That's something that you'll see a lot on an aluminum frame trailer, is a broken weld versus the steel frame. you may see some rust occurring there. So depending on the age of the trailer, but all of the things that you mentioned, definitely a factor. As far as paperwork and title, it's funny to me. I can sell a trailer in the year 2024, and then 2030, the customer calls me back and they say, "Hey, did you ever send the title to us on the trailer?" And what do I do? What do I do? And so some states don't actually require title, or they don't require a plate or something on the trailer. And if I think South Carolina may be one of those states. So if you're buying from a state that might have a different title requirement than what yours does, you can definitely run into some issues. So what happens in those states where they don't require title or they don't require license is on a new trailer, the customer, they will take the certificate of origin, which is the document that looks like a title, but it's from the manufacturer. You don't actually get a title until you go to your DMV and give them money. You got to pay them sales tax. That's when they give you a title. And they'll take that certificate of origin, they'll throw it in a safe, and then 10 years later, when they're ready to sell the trailer, they think they can just pull it out and assign it to the new owner. And that's not the case. What you can run into is, if you're trying to title a trailer in North Carolina and you purchase it from South Carolina and it's a certificate of origin, you're actually going to have to pay to have it titled in South Carolina first. And then you can get that title, bring it to North Carolina, and then retitle to yourself. And oftentimes, it may be an estate where someone passed away, and it can really just get into a mess.
Very good. And then the other two things I can think of right off the top is make sure the jack works. It's an electric jack or a hand jack, doesn't matter. And then the other thing too, and this is having had to rewire a couple old trailers in my lifetime, which by the way is not a fun job, make sure the lights work. So that's the other thing. Plug it in and, make sure that they work. Because a lot of times they don't, and you have to be prepared for the nightmare of rewiring your trailer. So there's just some good things to think about when you're doing used. Now let's talk about a brand new horse trailer.
New trailers, there's lots of choices, lots of manufacturers. We have a fragmented market. It's not like automobiles where you have Ford, Chevy, Dodge, just not that many manufacturers. But when it comes to horse trailers, there are a plethora. So plenty of choices. And everyone has their own spiel as to why they're the best and this and that. We don't necessarily get into preaching, ours is, what we do is just the best and everything else is a piece of junk, because that's not the case. But we do try to educate folks that are looking to purchase a new trailer on things that they should consider and why they should consider it. For example, the construction of material. What do you want? Well, most folks want something that is lightweight, it doesn't rust, and it's very strong, and aluminum accomplishes that. But aluminum also has some properties that make it not so friendly for a horse. It's a great conductor of heat. You stretch a mill finish over the roof of a trailer, and boom, you've got a solar panel baking your horse. So things like that, and even small things, padding, tubular dividers, so the horse can see through and, light can come through, and it reduces claustrophobia. So a lot of what we do is, again, education on things to look for from construction material to the type of flooring that you use. And we point out the pros and cons of different methods that are out there. Configurations, does it have a rear tack, and can you get the thing out of the way? And if you've got a horse that's difficult to load, most trailers out there with a rear saddle compartment, they will collapse. So you can move the walls out of the way and open up the whole back of the trailer if you've got a hard loader. The problem is you're holding a lead rope in one hand, the horse is pulling back, and all of a sudden you've got to clean out the tack compartment just to collapse the thing. So, that's not a good solution either. And when you're doing a custom build, we're also laser focused on the tow vehicle. We've done some segments on that, and just making sure that what we are drawing out and what we are planning to build on paper, that tow vehicle is capable of towing that, and that it's safely rated to tow that. And so that's a big thing. We have a lot of friction. You'd be surprised on folks that, I just purchased a 2024 brand whatever, the latest and greatest, and then they find out that it has a tongue weight rating of 750 pounds, and they want to tow a 2-horse bumper pull for warm bloods that has an 1,100 pound tongue rating, and the thing won't do it.
Also, what's a typical factory warranty and what's yours and what's the typical?
Most manufacturers, if you read the fine print, it's going to be a 1-year bumper-to-bumper warranty, maybe 2 years, depending on what brand it is. And then they'll advertise some really large number for 10-year warranty or 8-year warranty. That number is most often related to only the structure of the trailer. Maybe if it's an aluminum trailer, and I think where that came about is, way back in the day when they started building aluminum and probably didn't know exactly, the best method for putting everything together, you would see welds break. And we see some of that today, but not as much. And so aluminum trailer manufacturers, they really started pushing those warranties out. But again, it just relates to the main structure. So like a back structural post, maybe the roof rail that runs around the perimeter. But the things that actually break, the lights and the wiring and the door hinges and, all of the little components, the non-structural, that's what you need to pay attention to, particularly on a living quarter. I mean, I see units that are out there manufactured, they're $150,000 and they have a 8-year warranty, and you read the fine print and it's 12 months on the living quarter.
And we just had our living quarters in to get $1,000 worth of work on it. So,
Yeah.
It doesn't take
so
long.
Anyway, I think warranties are often only as good as the people that you're buying it from.
That's the end of our 5-part series. If they want to order a trailer for you, what do they do?
Yeah, jump on our website, doubledtrailers.com. There's right on the homepage, you click here to start or click to design your trailer and just go through the process. It's self-explanatory. You can actually build one out and price one out online. And just submit that over and we'll take it from there.
But you're also available. If they want to, before they do that, they need to get some questions answered. Talking to you is not a problem?
Not at all. We schedule discovery calls where someone may be looking to purchase and they haven't done a build out online yet. We like doing the Zoom calls because, I can't show you a floor plan or a picture or anything else on the telephone. Whereas if I can captivate your attention on a screen of some sort, where I can show you drawings and dimensions and all of this other supporting material and actually walk you through step by step on how to do things. So that seems to work much better. Folks really appreciate the more personal service than just talking on the telephone. But yeah, absolutely, you can schedule with us right through our website, and we'll hop on a call and answer all the questions. We've got guys here that love to talk about horse trailers.
Plus, you have a podcast.
We do have a podcast, the Double D Trailers podcast, and I'm learning a lot, meeting a lot of really cool people in the industry. We talk about things that are far from having anything to do with horse trailers, but all related to horses, and from chiropractic to training, rodeos. Vaulting, equestrian vaulting, which I didn't know what that was. So just a lot of smart people that we've worked with, and jump on that podcast. I think you enjoy it.
All right, very good. And if you want to hear the past episodes that we have done, this is a total of 5 now. As I said, you can find them at horseradionetwork.com/trailer. Brad, thank you so much for doing this for us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Glenn, and thanks to everyone listening. We really appreciate the time.
This Horse Health Report is brought to you by Daily Dose Equine, non-GMO core nutrition for horses and ponies of all ages. And we have Dr. Kristi Gran back with us to talk about spring vaccines and what should be on the list and what you should do. And we do try and cover this every year because, yes, people, spring is coming. I know you've been putting up with winter.
Hard to believe it. Yep.
It's coming. You're there. You're almost there, everybody. The final snows are going to melt.
Let's hope so.
So when should you do spring vaccines, by the way?
So that's actually kind of a tricky question. So spring and fall vaccines are kind of mislabeled, and it really has to do with timing. So there are vaccines that are given every year, and there are vaccines that are given twice a year, and now there's actually some that are given 3 times a year. So on paper, it probably doesn't really matter when they get given, as long as they get given a year from the last time they were given. And so we have some people that do their annual vaccines as late as August. We have some that do it as early as January. I think if you really want to try to have your peak protection in the springtime, you probably, depending on where you're located, are looking at March, April, somewhere in there. If it's a warmer area, maybe a little bit sooner than that.
So like right about now. Yeah.
Right about now. Yeah. But it's also important to know that your immunity doesn't wane. Like, it's not like it expires on that year date from when you vaccinate. So we know that we want to give vaccines every year because at about that year time, your immunity starts to decrease a little bit. It doesn't disappear, but it tends to decrease. And that's why it's timing, not necessarily spring and fall.
Well, and I'm assuming what vaccines should be given kind of also varies by where you live regionally.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So here in Indiana, we have, and most everywhere has what we call core vaccines, which is what we would consider every horse, no matter what, whether they're 30 years old or 2 years old, or whether they travel, don't travel, show, don't show. And those are the things that they're going to get from their environment. So things like Triple E, West Nile, tetanus, rabies, those are all core vaccines. When we start talking about the ones that vary a little bit, it may depend on where you live. So Potomac horse fever is really big in our area. We consider it a core vaccine, but in an area that doesn't see that disease, they may not worry about it. Same with botulism. We don't see a lot of it here, so we kind of pick and choose what farms we use it on, but there are some places that consider it a core vaccine. And then your other ones in general are ones that you're going to catch from other horses. So strangles, flu, rhino. Some people are still vaccinating for rhinitis, those kind of things. Those are the ones that we save for barns in which horses are moving in and out, to protect both the horses that are traveling, because they're going to go see horses that they don't know, but then also to protect the horses that stay home from whatever the traveling ones bring back.
So if there's one, what's your pet peeve one? The one that, how do I want to put this? The one that you think everybody should get, but people just go, eh.
So around here, it's Potomac horse fever. There's still kind of mixed thoughts on whether we need to see it. I work in a referral setting too, so we see a lot of really bad Potomac horse fever cases, and I think there's just groups that haven't seen much, and so they don't really consider it to be that important.
And that's Potomac horse fever is a nasty one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So also, should you do your own shots? Do you get the vet to do them?
Yeah, so that is a great question. So we all, and ever since I was a kid too, it's always been that spring shot appointment. And the vet's coming out to give shots, but the vet is actually coming out for so much more than that. If you're a parent, you know that basically you bring your kid to the doctor every single year for a checkup. I have no idea for how long, but as long as they keep telling me to come, I'll go. So you go every year, and whether or not they get a shot is a moot point. Sometimes they need them, sometimes they don't. But, those guys are looking for appropriate growth or any other behavior concerns or things like that. And we do the same thing. If we can see these horses every year or twice a year, not on an emergency basis, one, it makes us have a better relationship with them and their owners. But two, it means that we can pick up on subtle things like a little lameness or some weight gain or loss, hair coat changes, any other concerns that owners may have, checking their teeth and seeing if they need to be floated, talking about the fact that they just added 3 horses to their barn. So now we need to look at their deworming program. So it's not, anybody can do their own vaccines. You can go to the store and you can buy them and you can give them and your horse can be protected, and that's fine. But when you don't involve the veterinarian in it, you miss out on that important exam time, where you can build that relationship with your veterinarian and discuss with them what's most important for your farm. And your vet is the best source for what you should vaccinate for too, because they know what's in the area. They, see daily reports from other vets and from the state vet as far as what is floating around, and they can make those recommendations. The other thing I'll mention, and, this isn't a blanket statement because every veterinary clinic is a little bit different, but with the very much decreasing population of equine vets, a lot of people are moving to only providing emergency services for their clients.
That's what I was going to bring up, actually.
Yeah. And sometimes the way they define a current client is one that utilizes the veterinarian for preventative care. And so that is definitely an important thing to know, because if you end up with an emergency and you haven't built a relationship with a vet, depending on what location you're in, you may be out of luck, or you may have to drive a long distance to find someone to help your horse, which is sad, but it right now is the position that a lot of veterinarians are in, because they literally cannot handle the volume of cases that are out there.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate then. Wouldn't it be better if people were doing the shots themselves so they weren't bothered with that?
So yes and no. Usually when we're talking about emergencies, typically, we're talking about overnight care, after hours emergencies, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because the emergency never happens during the normal business day. It's always on the weekend or evening.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, vaccines are easier, or, those exams are easier to book out, right? So if someone calls today and says, I need my horse vaccinated, I can find a time on my schedule that I can do it a week. Some clients or some vets may need to wait 2-3 weeks from now to get it done, but emergencies or vaccines aren't something that has to happen right now. So they're better able to plan into that schedule. If you called me today and said, my horse cut its leg, now I have to find time on this schedule that I have today to put you in, and there's where, I'll make an accommodation, not me specifically, but there definitely are clinics that are more than willing to make accommodations for one of their clients, however they define their client, to get them in that day. But if they're trying to add in someone they've never seen before, then it might get a little dicey as far as how to fit them in.
Heck, that's true of your normal people doctor nowadays too, your family doctor.
Oh, absolutely.
Same thing.
Yep, absolutely. And it's hard because we don't have that urgent care option, right? So we're the primary and we're the emergency. And so you want to be in the good graces on the primary part of things, so that when you need them at midnight, they're willing and able and available to come help you.
So, are there vaccines now that you're passionate about that you weren't 10 years ago? And let me rephrase that. Are there new ones coming out soon that are going to add to that list?
So to my knowledge, there aren't any that would be like a blanket, everybody needs them. Okay. I know that there's places working on specific ones for pregnant mares and foals in order to help prevent some of the diseases that we see there. But as far as kind of all of the major diseases that we see now, I think we've pretty much got things covered. I can't honestly think of, I could totally be blanking too, but I can't think of a specific disease that I see a lot that I don't have a vaccine for. I know EPM used to have it had a conditional vaccine, but then it was never proven that it actually helped. So it was pulled before it got to the primary market. But things change all the time. So Potomac horse fever is a relatively, in the grand scheme of things, newer vaccine product that's changed over the years. Strangles has changed over the years. So the companies do a really good job of keeping their vaccines up to date, just like on the human side for flu vaccine and that kind of thing. And we've added, as time goes by, the importance of it. The biggest thing we've been doing is changing the booster protocols. So Potomac, for example, which I seem to be harping on today, Potomac for a while was an annual vaccine, and then it became a semi-annual, so twice a year vaccine. And now just this year, we're starting to push it for 3 times a year because we need much better immunity than what we're getting with the two things. So as time goes by and, case volume picks up and we see more and more cases in order to kind of add to the vaccine company database in regards to what's protection and what's not protection, that's where we're starting to get some changes in these vaccines. But as far as any new ones coming through, I am not aware of anyone that would add to the list for your average show horse.
The one I was hoping you'd say, and it's something that, I'm a chronic Lyme disease person, got it 20 years ago, never got it treated, still deal with it.
Yep.
And of course, half our listeners have dealt with it in their horses or the dogs. I know they have a canine Lyme vaccine, and I know some horse people give the canine one to their horses. I know we don't have a horse specific one. I can't get that word out.
So I actually had forgotten about that. So I practiced in New England for 5-6 years, I think, before I moved out here. And I tell people I moved here because there's no Lyme here. Because I grew up in New England. I practiced there. It's a pain in the butt. So we were vaccinating for Lyme with a canine vaccine. And there wasn't any science behind it. But looking from year to year, it seemed like, again, not that this is like Google research type stuff, not like actual scientific paper research. It seemed like from year to year we were seeing less.
So anecdotally, you were seeing it.
With vaccines, they're still, trying to figure out what's the best booster protocol, what's the best route of administration. So at one point we were talking about, is sub-Q better than in the muscle? That kind of thing. So yes, to answer your question, there are definitely people that are using the Lyme vaccine that's in dogs without seeing any complications in horses, but there's no data behind it.
Yeah, and I know that vet clinics usually ask for the owners to sign a waiver stating,
because it's off-label use.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did read something today that was interesting. There's an article out now that they have found an enzyme, or I guess it was an enzyme, in human sweat that seems to repel Lyme disease.
Really?
And repel it. And they're actually looking at it now as a way to come up with an effective vaccine.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they found this marker that the people who had this marker did not get sick. So that's what they're looking at, was in human sweat. So there you go.
Huh. Well, that will be an interesting one to follow for sure.
If they can replicate it,
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
I need something. I mean, it's not getting better. I mean, it's only
it's
worse.
A big hot mess.
Yeah, it's moved. It's out where you are now. It's everywhere. So,
it keeps creeping in every once in a while.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So any other health tips that we should be on the lookout now that spring has sprung? Obviously, colic always,
Yeah, colic's the big one. Making sure that you work these horses up onto grass and not just throw them out. This is the time of year that we tend to see some laminitis cases on horses that we haven't had problems with before because they're a little overzealous about the grass. But yeah, those are the big things with weather like this, lacerations, running through fences, that kind of thing. But yeah, the big thing is get your horses vaccinated. It's a whole lot cheaper to do it that way than to try to treat them. So, or not be able to treat them is the other part of it.
All right. Very good. Where can people find you?
We are at Conley and Kuntz Equine Hospital, at ckequine.com. at ckequinehospital.com and on Facebook.
Very good. You've been terrific doing these. Everybody loves, by the way, we have a focus group. They love when you come on because you explain things so easily. Even I understand them. I mean,
there you go.
if I understand it, anybody can. Dr. Kristi, thanks again. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right. This health report was brought to you by Daily Dose Equine. Daily Dose Equine offers a full line of handcrafted horse feeds to maximize the health and performance of horses and ponies of all ages. Each custom feed has been developed with whole grains and non-GMO ingredients to eliminate the risk of herbicide contamination. We are horse people ourselves, and we have seen firsthand the difference that superior nutrition can render to our equine partners. And Scooter gets one of these feeds, and I've seen it in him too. At Daily Dose Equine, they never forget that natural is better and simplicity is key. Learn more at dailydoseequine.com, and the cool part is you can get it shipped through Chewy.
Time to learn why some days you're embarrassed to be part of the human race. In Jamie's Weird News.
It's so true for today. Now, it would not be a weird news day if I didn't include one from Florida because, there's so many that come through there. But I would like to back up and thank everybody who sends me these weird news stories. The last 2 weeks, y'all have brought it fairly strong, or at least the world has, and somebody published it and you found it and sent it to me. Jamie at horseradionetwork.com. Just like, okay, you ready? Kim, Kelly, Glenn, Delia, Margaret, Laurie, Janelle, Sandy, Thomas, Ina, Laureen, Lisa, Caitlin, Scott, April, Debbie, and Claire.
Has to be some kind of record.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. I wasn't here last Wednesday, so I didn't get to do it. So we have 2 weeks built up. So I decided to go with a theme today, and the theme is testicles. However, there's no testicle-related Florida story, so I'm going to start with just a Florida story, and then we'll move on to the testicles. First thing,
we need a disclaimer here that this is not safe for children.
Oh, no. I mean, unless your kid can't hear the word testicle.
Which he already has, or she already has at this point.
I mean, look, I have been privy to the, Mommy, what's a testicle? Yeah, thanks to ghosts. Mom, what's an orgasm? That one I'll never forget.
I was doing that for your benefit so you could help cheat your child. That's why I recommended that show.
Yeah, you recommended a show where they're sitting on washing machines.
Gotten a lot more of that than it did at the beginning.
Yeah, so that's fun. Network television, who knows? But anyway, I digress. Let's go to Cocoa, Florida. Is that Cocoa Beach? Same place?
Probably Cocoa Beach, yeah.
Okay. There was a 52-year-old woman who was missing. She hadn't been seen for 3 days. Her name is Marlene Lopez, and her family last saw her on March 4th at her home on Lucerne Drive in Cocoa, Florida. And it wasn't until Wednesday that a concerned coworker reported her missing when she didn't show up to pick up her son. So they just, there's so many weird things in the story. Like, why did it take them 3 days to know she wasn't picking up her kid? Whatever. Moving on. So police were called, said she hasn't been seen in 3 days. And they started looking everywhere. And they couldn't find her. She's missing. She's missing. This could be potentially tragic. This lady's missing. Until a local business in Cocoa, Florida called the police and said that we found her. I guess they'd been canvassing, the neighborhood. We found her. There's a shipping container next to the local business that she was found at, and she was found in the shipping container.
Did she go in to take a nap? What?
At some point, she wandered into the local shipping container, where then the employee just happened to be going home for the night, walked out, and locked the container.
Oh, my gosh.
Apparently, they don't
can't get out from the inside of those.
Nope. She was then stuck in the container.
Oh, my God.
Why didn't she bang on the container when they were locking it up? Well, they're like, we don't understand why she was in there in the first place. It holds lawnmowers. It's a shipping container stocked with lawnmowers. So was she going in there to steal a lawnmower and getting frightened? Well, maybe, but also I probably think she passed out, considering after they pulled her out of the shipping container where she'd been for 3 days with no food or water, they did find a crack pipe and a lighter. So,
there you go.
There's drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad.
are bad. So there you go. She was found safe and sound. I hope somebody took her kids away from her. All right, now we're going to head to testicles. Yes, because this is a story. We're going to go to Las Vegas, to one of the fanciest hotels in Las Vegas, the Venetian and the Palazzo Tower. And there was a man named Michael Farici, and he was sleeping. He was in the hotel room, and he was sleeping. And then he was jolted awake from an excruciating pain. He woke up, sharp pain. He says, quote, "I woke up with a sharp pain in my private area. I was surprised. I didn't know what is that. I reached my hand to see what's happening over there under the covers, and I got another sharp pain, and then another sharp pain. 3 giant painful things in his private regions. He was stung by a scorpion in his bed on his balls."
Of all the places.
He was wearing underwear, so he immediately pulled those off, threw them on the floor, lit up his cell phone, looked down, and there's a scorpion in the crotch of his boxer briefs. Yes, there's photos. So, unfortunately, he called, he's like, "I need to go to the doctor. I have to go to the local hospital." So he went to the local hospital, filed a report with the hotel staff. And he goes to check out, and he's like, "I'm the one who got stung on my testicles by a scorpion." They're like, "That'll be $700, sir." Wait. No, I got stung in my bed.
And you went past the thing. Did the scorpions can be venomous? What did they swell up? Did they solve the problem?
I really didn't read into it that much. Now,
this
the
is
problem
something that men want to know. Was he okay?
Apparently, this is not the first time scorpions have been found in guest rooms in the Venetian. Now,
you think that would be a disclaimer when you signed in?
He says that it traumatized him. He has lingering medical issues. Its exact species and the toxicity of its venom is not clear because they don't know what kind of scorpion it was. He just showed a cell phone light on it and snapped a picture, but I guess they can't tell from the picture because it's dark.
Stomping it to death, I hope.
Well, I mean, here's the problem. It's like, I don't know. Wouldn't they comp your room for that?
Yeah, at least that.
They didn't, and they charged him for all his room charges, his.
Oh, I'd be suing them.
Well, he is. He is now suing the Venetian for an unspecified
They're going to end
amount.
up paying 50 times what they would have done if they'd comped his room.
I wonder though, it's if they comp his room, is that admitting guilt, or whatever? I don't
especially if they have the problems all through the hotel.
Yeah, we're gonna have to step up our pest control game.
Yeah, maybe get Orkin out there a few times more a year.
Exactly.
Jeez. Okay, I'll be thinking about that all day.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better. So there's a man named Jorge Bass, and he is in Argentina. And he was having to have an emergency gallbladder surgery. So he goes to the hospital and they're like, "We cannot do your surgery today. It's Tuesday. That's when they do gallbladder surgeries. We're going to have to do it tomorrow. We don't have a doctor on hand." And he's like, "I'll just sit here, try not to die, needing a new gallbladder surgery." So Wednesday morning comes. He gets wheeled. He puts the gown on and he gets wheeled down to the OR where they knock him out and they perform the surgery. And then he wakes up and he's like, "Why do my balls hurt?"
Oh, no.
Yeah, they gave him a vasectomy. They accidentally gave him a vasectomy instead of having his gallbladder removed. He said, "I feel so angry and helpless. I can't understand."
Yeah, no kidding. How old is he, did they say?
He's in his early 30s.
Oh, okay.
He has a couple boys, but he was always holding out hope for a daughter.
Yeah, that didn't
Stay
happen.
with that,
Adopt
man.
One.
Apparently, the type of vasectomy surgery they did, the doctors are saying that it is not reversible. Sorry, the doctors have explained to him, he says, quote, the possibilities of reversing this error are minimal. So basically,
they did a good one.
They did a good one. They got it done. The health professionals are giving him artificial insemination as a choice if he would like to father another child. He does have a lawyer.
His gallbladder out?
It does. I mean, I'm assuming he had to go in for that maybe on Thursday, but they said the nurse was the one who told them they made a mistake after they woke up, and apparently they said we don't do gallbladders on Wednesdays. We do vasectomies on Wednesdays, so we just thought you were a vasectomy.
Now how does that happen? They ask you your date of birth and your name and what surgery you're getting about 85 times before you ever go in the OR.
Yeah, when I was having surgery on my right shoulder, they took markers and they were like, right
They
shoulder.
did that with me too. They wrote, when I had my gallbladder out, they wrote gallbladder on my belly. I don't get how that even happens. That's just sloppy. They should be sued.
Yeah, they are going to be sued. Yes, turns out.
Don't tell me you have one more.
Do you know those stories that we do where people are caught at airports smuggling
weird
random
stuff and food
things,
and dead fish and dried, monkey parts? Yeah.
I figured out why.
Okay, why?
Okay, so there's this man in Montana. And his name, well, it doesn't really matter. He's a rancher in Montana. And in Billings and the whole state of Montana, it's illegal to farm hunt, where they hey, here's the bear, shoot it. That's illegal. That was made illegal in the year 2000. So you can't just canned hunt anymore, which is great. But he decided, this Montana rancher was I would like to breed giant sheep. And so what he did was he had a sheep hunter kill a sheep in Central Asia. It's called the Marco Polo, and apparently it's a giant sheep with the big curved antlers, horns that go around in circles, and it's a very exotic looking sheep. So he decides to have the hunter kill the sheep and send him the sheep so he could use it to breed. How do you do that? Glenn would ask. How do
you breed a dead sheep?
How do you breed a dead sheep? Well, what happens is you shoot the sheep in Central Asia, you remove the testicles, and you put that on ice in an airplane and fly that to Montana. So yes, this Montana rancher has been arrested for illegally using tissue and testicles from wild sheep killed by hunters in Asia to breed giant hybrid sheep for sale to private hunting preserves and Texas. Because apparently in Texas you can't hunt because Texas is stupid. So he basically, what he did, this is mad science stuff for this rancher. Apparently, it's been a years-long conspiracy started in 2013, where he and 5 other people sought to create giant sheep hybrids by crossbreeding different species. So their goal was to get high prices from hunting preserves where people shoot the captive trophy animals for a fee. So using biological tissue obtained from the testicles of the wild sheep in Kyrgyzstan, he then was able to clone embryos of the animal from a lab after using, I think, the original DNA from the testicles that were sent over. And now he has named the sheep the Montana Mountain King. It's a breed now.
These are going to be some expensive sheep. It's not cheap to do cloning.
They top 300 pounds with horns 5 feet long. I am
looking at pictures. They are enormous. Think elk. That enormous.
So the more bloodline of the Marco Polo sheep, the more expensive they were because the bigger they were. But it's illegal to do any of all of this. You can't just mad science do stuff. And he is now currently in jail. And he's going to be there for a minute. His case is pending. Apparently, this report from AP News, the AP writer called him And he answered. And he was like, I would love to talk about it, but my lawyer won't let me right now. But call me back after this is all over and I'll tell you everything.
By the way, Popular Science has a nickname for this guy and his sheep.
Oh, no.
The Franken-sheep hybrids.
Yes, it is totally like he's taking sheep. But then I was like, oh, this makes sense while we're getting like stories about people shipping
weird stuff
in their suitcases and getting caught. So he is his ranch is licensed as an alternative livestock facility. Yeah, I would say that it is. But he is in jail. He could face like up to like 50 years in prison. And yet he's happy to talk to the AP news writer. Give me a call back after this is all done. I'll tell you everything.
That is a weird story. That is one of the weirdest stories we've had.
Right? It was a weird news.
That's a weird news story. Well, thank you, everybody. How do people send you weird news stories?
You can send them to Jamie at horseradionetwork.com. And Jamie is spelled Jamie, the normal way. Send it there, but weird news in the subject line. I appreciate it. You guys are all awesome. I'm going to go work on this horse. Glenn, by the way, remember I told you about the horse last week who was like super abused, really scared of humans.
I think you talked about him on Monday.
Yeah. It took me 5 minutes to touch behind his shoulder. Like he was so scared. Go to Flyover Farm, Jamie Jennings' Facebook page, and you can see the video I made yesterday. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud. I've just been doing what I do, and it's been working, and it is awesome. I am so pleased with this horse. Tell me this horse is not going to make some kid a perfect little hunter. So I am working on finding him a home. If anybody knows anybody looking for a horse with a ton of potential, 4-year-old chestnut thoroughbred, I was like, is he 15.2 or 15.3? I sticked him. He's 15.2 1/2. So just right between 15.2 and 15.3. He's adorable, real sweet.
Well,
now
in your Craigslist ad, you should put 16.2. You realize that, right?
He's 17.1.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Because that's required. Well, congratulations. I know this was one that you were very concerned about at the beginning.
I was, and I'm just so pleased. And I just got another one in 5 minutes ago. And so thank you all for I'll keep you up to date on that. And thanks for all the nice messages on this one. And I'm really, really, really proud of myself. Like it's the kind of stuff that you go, oh, that's why I do it. Okay, cool.
Yay. Good.
Love it.
Well, if you want to get your ads in for Really Bad Ads Day on Friday, get them to Jennifer at horseradionetwork.com. And tomorrow on the show will be the Equine Affair episode. It's the last Equine Affair episode before I go to Equine Affair in April. So this is the last one we're doing before Equine Affair happens in April. Then we'll be doing some special episodes from there. Hopefully this year I won't get deathly ill like last year. And we are doing a meetup there. I'll talk more about that as we get closer. I know some people have signed up for that. We're heading to Cheesecake Factory, so you're going to want to go.
Speaking of meetups, I want to do a meetup at Defender, the Kentucky 3-Day, maybe on Friday night. So if you're going to be there, I'll put a post up on I don't know, email, if you're not an auditor, email me, Jamie at horseradionetwork.com and tell me if you're going to be at Kentucky 3-Day, and I need to get a head count and see about doing something Friday night. Let's party, people.
Yay, good. It's too bad our favorite Mexican restaurant closed. It's like, that was the ideal spot, you know? There's
still another location, so we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be 2 people or 20 people or 40. I don't know how many people are going to go to that. So it's hard for me to pick a location. Like if there's so many people, we'll just all like have a picnic somewhere.
And you're going to do a post in the auditor room too?
Yeah, I'll do that today.
All right, sounds good. Well, I have a closing meme for today. It was a meme I found, and you're going to like this one. Practical advice. If all the toilets in your house are occupied and you are waiting for one to be free, just switch off the Wi-Fi.
That resembles my son. My brother called me. My brother called me. He was watching Lucas in the hotel when we were in Florida, and he's like, should I be concerned? He's been in there half an hour. Spay, neuter, gelt.